we've got our Frontier opening bell started for Wednesday, the 10th of January. Hello, everyone. This is your Frontier Africa report. Let's get on to see how the market's pacing out on Tuesday, the second trading day. Of course, if you're in the news on the market street, you know the Nigerian story, 1.6 trillion naira addition to total market value in just one single day, taking the index to a new psychological reading of above 83,000, the highest in the country's index history. You've got a 3.56%, banking, insurance, consumer goods, industrial goods, telcos, MTN, and the rest were all part of the rally that we're seeing on the Nigerian exchange. You got a couple of more banks, Access Holdings and FBN Holdings joined the 1 trillion naira market value club of other companies like Boa Foods and UBA on the Nigerian bourse. So it's quite red hot right now if you're looking at the Nigerian market in local currency terms. The BRVM softened for the second day by 0.16%. The Egyptian stock market came back with about 1% in the green territory, 25,589. Then you got the Nairobi Pulse down slightly below the 93 level on Monday, so down by 1.04%. Was the profit booking on Tuesday. You've got a GSE in the red for the second session this week, 0.37% Tuesday. Let me walk you through what's making the headlines in East African markets. Of course, we've got that big story from the World Bank on Tuesday, but Kenya is raising its borrowing target to about 886 billion shillings. That would be about 5.5% of GDP under the current fiscal year of the Ruto's administration. And the Mauritius-based Crown Beverages has purchased Kenya's bottling company, and that's a handshake across the Indian Ocean, where Mauritius is based, east coast of the continent, to one of its closest neighbor economy, and that's Kenya. Tanzania has been ranked the second in tobacco production in Africa, and that's coming after Zimbabwe. Malawi is also one of the top tobacco producer on the continent. An African 50 yesterday announced it's raised $222.5 million in its first infrastructure acceleration fund, and that's some good news for this agency, a subsidiary of the African Development Bank Group. Let me walk you through West Africa. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria is firing on all cylinders right now as far as investigations into corrupt practices in the government and private sector, as the case may be. Three CEOs of three banks were queried by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Tuesday, according to news reports, as far as their involvement were in the allegations of that multi-billion naira funds that were meant for distribution to vulnerable Nigerians, of course, which former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and the current minister was suspended upon. All that in the news. Of course, the president also cut back on the number of those who should be on the team of the government officials, including the president and the vice president when they travel abroad. So that's been cut back by about 60%. The global economy will see is slowing down, and that's the good news, up to a 30-year low. That's the World Bank's Global Economic Prospects report that was released on Tuesday. You need to read that up. Three of the biggest economies on the continent are lagging the rest, with new champions emerging, according to that report. And Kenya is beating Nigeria as the destination, number one startup investment destination, raised $800 million last year, beating Nigeria into the fourth position. Nigeria's held that position number one for the last 3 years or so. The Bank of Ghana says it's licensed 16 new FX brokers for the current year. That's in addition to the commercial banks that got FX licenses from the central bank. And the country, Ghana, is also raising about 12.7 billion cedis from treasury bills, offering to the market in the month of January. And you've got campaign from South African says it's received 14 million euros from the UK's Bank for International Investment, which is in private sector lending arm of the UK government for small businesses credits expansion in Cote d'Ivoire. In Southern Africa, let's look at some of the stories this Wednesday, with the IMF approving $60.7 million new disbursement to Mozambique. Mozambique is reveling in its new multi-billion-dollar gas project. Zimbabwe's currency turmoil is returning because the local currency, the Zim dollar, down by 40% on the black markets. That's no good news for President Emerson Mnangagwa's administration. And listings on the GSE BNP Paribas says 300 million rand index securities will be done. Maturing June 2029 has now been listed on the GSE, while South African stocks lost about $50 billion in 8-year foreign exits. We also saw a number of delistings, at least about 22 at the end of last year, from the most developed and the biggest exchange on the continent. Meantime, Angola is targeting higher oil revenue after it exited OPEC Plus just before the end of 2023. Let's see what's making some splash in Northern Africa today. Egypt's central bank looking to launch a digital currency, an e-pound, by the year 2030. That'll be in the footsteps of Nigeria, which floated e-naira just a few years ago. And Financial Regulatory Authority has set Egyptian limit of 15 million Egyptian pounds limit for fintech startups in the non-banking fintech space. In the meantime, SDX Energy has gotten $2.1 million gas prepayment deal in Morocco. That's supporting the activities in Morocco, North Africa there, with supply of energy operations. And you've got Libya and Italy raising the fight against money laundering, as well as terror financing. The countries are working across the Mediterranean to very closely to see what can be done to stave off those activities and no longer using Libya as a doorstep of terror financing and money laundering. All that in the news and a whole lot more. You can read up more online, watch our show, as well as other productions that we have on Frontier Africa Reports. But this is your Frontier Opening Bell. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.